Hello everyone, Professor Kurzluck here. So last summer I made a series of videos, kind of tips for starting college strong or tips on how to succeed in college. Now as we approached the new semester, already over halfway through July, I figured I'd make some of these videos again, expand on some of these videos, and hopefully students that are just starting out college or getting back into the swing of college can find any of these tips helpful. So interestingly, I just went to Google and I searched tips and strategies for succeeding in college. And I just wanted to walk through some of the suggestions they give. I agree with most of them. Some of them I'm more on the fence of. But I wanted to give a professor's view on what Google says. I'm guessing this is Gemini. Gemini says is how to succeed in college. So I've been teaching now for full time for 7 years, and prior to that, I taught as a teaching assistant while getting my PhD. And I've taught a wide variety of institutions, from community college. I've taught full time at community college for a couple years. I taught at the U.S. Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. Now I'm a tenure track faculty at public university here in Northern Colorado. So I've dealt with students from all different backgrounds, all different time commitments, different prior academic training. And so I just like to give my feedback from my years of teaching of what I think works well. So, okay, let's see what Google said. Well, number one is what I always say too. So Google and I are on the same page. Go to class. Attendance correlates directly with higher grades. And this is true. When we look at studies that try to figure out what are the key indicators of success, going to class is always the number one indicator of success. It is that important. Not only do you make relationships with the professor and hear what the professor is saying and have an idea of what the professor thinks is the most important things from the reading, but you are also just getting in that habit of being somewhere on time, being where you need to be. You're creating something that will help you succeed. So go to class. As Google says, correlates directly with higher grades. Yeah, I've seen the studies. I've read the studies. When I talk to students, when I go to new student orientation every year, and I'm talking to students, I tell them number one indicator of success: go to class. Come to class. Okay, number two, the Google says read the syllabus, treat it as your semester roadmap. So this is true. The syllabus is important. Why do we read the syllabus? Well, it tells you what you're going to be graded on. It tells you what you're going to be reading. If you have to buy a textbook or you don't have to buy a textbook, the syllabus will say it. On the first day of class, your professor is going to talk to you about the syllabus. It might be all you do that day. It might be syllabus day in every one of your classes, where all you do is talk about the syllabus. But in my class, at least, I don't cover the whole thing. Sometimes my syllabi are like 15 pages long. There's a lot of stuff we have to put in there from the university, a lot of detailed reading. We're probably not going to go through line by line in class. But if you read it and you have any questions, then you can ask your professor. You can bring it up in class. Hey, I wasn't quite sure about this. Can you just explain this to me? And then you'll know, okay, this is what I need to read. And importantly, you will know when your assignments are due. In the syllabus, almost every syllabus, unless you have a professor that maybe is still working on it, I won't judge, it'll tell you when things are due. So then you know, okay, well, I have this for this class and this for this class, and I can plan out and be strategic about it. Okay, well, this is going to be a really busy week. Maybe I want to make sure that I try to front load and do some of that work earlier in the semester. It'll make your life easier. It's what I'm always telling my students. If you are strategic about your homework, you're strategic about your reading, not waiting to the last minute, it makes your life easier. So make sure you read the syllabus. Know when things are due. Know what's going to be included in the class. If you have to buy a textbook, and it'll lay out the readings. My syllabi, one of the reasons they're so long is because I detail out all of the reading. So I try not to make my students buy textbooks. I try to find open source, or we read a lot of articles or newspaper articles, journal articles. Try to cut down those costs. Well, in the syllabus, it lays out what we're going to read then. Okay, so next, what does Google say is important? Introduce yourself. Speak to professors during the office hours. So here, office hours, so maybe to a student that's just joining university, office hours are a period of time where your faculty member, your professor, your instructor will be in their office. So office hours are a time for students, a time that students can come, ask questions, say hi, talk about the syllabus, talk about the reading, whatever you want. It's a time that's set aside, professors set aside, so we are in our offices for you. Introduce yourself. I've had some students do that over the years. For the most part, when students want to introduce themselves and say hi, where they're from, they might just stick around after class a couple minutes, which I've had that quite a lot, especially over the past couple years, more so now than earlier in my career. Students will come, say hi, introduce themselves. I guess you could do it during office hours. I see it a lot more just after class, maybe before class. I usually get to class like 10 minutes early, so if students want to chat with me. But yeah, just it does help a professor if you can put a name to a face. Okay, so what else does Google say? Sit up front. It improves focus and builds engagement. Yeah, I think that's a good suggestion. So sit up front, you can hear better, you can see the board better, especially if it's a hard science class where maybe there's equations or something on the board. Sitting up front definitely makes a difference. Sitting up front also allows you to engage with the professor better. Hiding in the back of a classroom. I'm at UNC, where luckily we don't have super big classrooms, so less of a problem. But if you're at a large public university, you might be in a lecture hall of like 200, 250 people. We don't have that at UNC, but some other universities here in the state of Colorado or across the country, sit up front. You'll hear better. You'll be less distracted. You won't see 20 people playing games on their laptops all across the classroom. So yeah, improves focus. You're not getting distracted by what other people are doing on your laptops. I never call out students for doing other stuff on your laptops. You're an adult, you're paying to be there. But I can see when others situated around them are being distracted. Sit up front. You'll eliminate that distraction, and builds engagement. Yeah, you're more likely to want to raise your hand and engage with the professor. I think that's a good suggestion. Okay, what does Google say next? Study daily, review notes for 30 minutes every night. Yeah, that's a good one. So study daily, yes. I know it gets busy. I know the modern world, the modern student, you're working, you might even have family commitments, you are juggling all these things on top of school. So it can be tough to set aside time every day to study and to read. But if you get in that habit, you will get more out of courses. Yeah, I've had students who I had a feeling they weren't keeping up the reading. Doesn't mean they fail my class. Maybe they don't get an A. But if you can, keep up with your reading. Stay engaged. You're on your path to an A, and you'll get more. Students are paying a lot of money to be at university. Get the most out of it. Keep up with your reading. Read before class and study daily. So what I did want to highlight from this, review notes for 30 minutes every day. Yeah, we'll come back to that. Okay, so next one. So treat college like a job. Dedicate 9 to 5 daily to class and study. I guess that's. It would be nice if students still had the time to dedicate 9 to 5 daily to class and study. But again, I know there's a realization that students have a lot of outside commitments. So many students, when I ask my students at UNC how many of you work, it's at least 75% of the class. Students are just trying to get by. So although I like where Google is going with this, that you should dedicate a lot of time. That's a lot of time that students, I just don't think they have that much time. But set aside time. Try to set aside time every day, like we said, to study your notes, keep up with the reading. Form study groups early, swap contact info with students during week 1. Okay, so study groups can be good, but they can also not be good. And this is where I disagree with Google a teeny bit. I have found, even from my own experience when I was a student, that sometimes study groups kind of lead down to just hanging out and talking about other things. If you can find classmates who are serious about studying and who really want to do well, yeah, I think that can be good. I think having a study group, or at least friends in the class who can help you. Okay, say you miss a day, you aren't quite sure what you missed, then you have a friend you can reach out to. If they take notes, you can ask them, like, hey, what did I miss? Just be careful with that. Make sure if you're already limited on time, you're not joining a study group that doesn't actually study and just hangs out. Okay, so vary your study spots. Switch between the library, student union, and cafes. Yeah, I think this could be good. I was a commuter student as an undergrad, and then in graduate school, you don't live on campus. So I can see where if you are living on campus, doing the same thing every day, going to the library every day, and maybe you want to get out of your dorm for a little bit, yeah, switching it up would probably be a good idea. Library, student union, cafes. At UNC, we have a ton of different study spots around campus. I'm sure other universities, wherever you go to school at, is similar to that too. Just mix it up. Not a bad idea. Okay, here's an important one that I think is underappreciated anymore. So take notes by hand. It improves information retention over laptop typing. This is true. I do not see many students anymore taking notes by hand. I am old enough that when I was an undergrad, everybody basically took notes by hand. And then as computers, laptops became affordable and so prevalent, more students type. And it makes sense that they type because you can do it fast. We're just so used to it. If you do take notes by hand, studies have shown that you just remember information better. So there is a perk of taking notes by hand. So depending on what level of course it is, some of my classes I use PowerPoints, some I don't. When I do use PowerPoints, I always give them to students, and maybe your professors will be the same. And then I tell the students to don't just type everything that's on the PowerPoint slide. Instead, think about the discussion we're having and then write down those main points. Again, by hand, you will remember it better. I understand why students type. I still take notes by hand in meetings. I still take notes by hand when I'm reading. It just helps you remember better. So that is important. Okay, so next, utilize free campus tutoring. Go before you actually start struggling. Okay, this is a good one. Wherever you go to school at, there will be campus tutoring. There'll be writing centers, there'll be tutoring for specific classes, especially in like hard sciences. If you're taking like math, statistics, a hard science, there'll be tutors on campus. Political science, I don't know if there'll be as many tutors on campus, but if you need writing projects, there'll be people on campus that'll help you with those writing projects. Your professor will probably put some of this information in the syllabus. If it's not, drop them an email, go to their office hours. If you're struggling, or even if you just want that extra help, ask. We will be able to point you in the right direction. Okay, let's see. The next suggestions that Google gives talks about building your community. Join clubs. This is a good one. I am the faculty advisor of the Political Science Club. I always emphasize to students, get engaged on campus, join a club. Now I know, again, we've said it a few times, students have a lot going on, they're busy, they have severe time crunches. But if you join a club, if you join something like the Political Science Club, you will find others who are interested in similar things as you are. You'll also meet people who are maybe third or fourth year students, maybe even a fifth year student. And they've done this before. They've been around. They understand how the university works. They understand how the courses work a little bit better. You'll also, maybe you are living on campus and it's your first time away from your parents. Now you're making friends at club. A political science club, a very welcoming group. You can come make friends. I'm sure whatever club, I know philosophy clubs exist, econ clubs exist, Democrat, Republican clubs, all these clubs exist that you can make connections at. You'll have friends, you'll have connections, you'll have people to lean on, and you'll be more engaged. You're more likely to enjoy and get the most out of your college experience if you have these connections. Okay, so I'm just gonna breeze through these next through. Eat at dining halls. Okay, I can't speak on that for or against. I didn't live on campus. Attend orientation events. Yeah, that's another good one. Google says everyone is looking for friends, and that is true. You'll meet people with similar interests who are just starting out this journey like yourself. That's a good one. Avoid isolation, study in libraries instead of dorm rooms. Okay. I see Google put a couple citations on that. I'm not sure what they're citing, but yeah, again, just making that human connection, meeting others who are interested in similar things as you are, always a good idea. Okay, so next, Gemini tells us manage your life and routine. Use a planner, track deadlines, exams, social events. Yeah, we talked about that a bit with the syllabus. That's a good idea. I know some contemporary folks will use like a Google or a Gmail calendar. Yeah, that's fine. Just some students still write them in a planner. Perfectly fine. Just this way you're laying out, okay, I have this due, when, and when should I be ready for that assignment? That's good. Guard your sleep. Yeah, getting sleep's important. Watch your budget. I can't speak on that. Learn to say no. Avoid overcommitting your free time. Yeah, because remember, you do have a lot going on. You do want to make sure you are still studying. Locate campus resources, the tutoring hub, like we talked about. Know where that is. If you don't, ask. Let's see. Oh yeah, check student email daily. That's a good one. I'm glad Google checked this. This is how the university sends critical updates. Your professor probably does too. Now, I am more of a Canvas emailer, Canvas messenger than a university emailer. So I tell students to check their Canvas every day. Also check your email daily. You'll know what's going on campus. You'll get messages from your professor. It's important just to check your email. I know some students go like a week without checking it and then they miss important stuff. Check your email. Let's see. Back up your data. Yeah, if you write a paper and you're running it, make sure you don't lose it. Know your campus layout. Walk your schedule before classes officially start. Okay, I do see students doing this a lot. Yeah, just make sure you understand where your classes are. In the first week of class, the first couple of days of class, I know at UNC there are people stationed around campus who are helping students find their way. I'm sure your university is the same. But if you walk around figuring, okay, my classroom's here, my classroom is here, and my classroom is here, you'll just be less stressed that first week. Okay, so next, Google tells us to protect your well-being, exercise, call home, eat balanced meals, take mental health days, download campus safety app. Okay, all good suggestions. Exercising is important. I think so. I exercise a lot. I enjoy it. So not to like push that on people, but it does take you. It does help burn off some stress and removes you from the monotony and the routine of class study work. So yeah, all good, all good. Google tells us call home, maintain your existing support system without overdoing it. Yeah, call your parents, talk to your parents, talk to your high school friends, talk to your community college friends, wherever you're coming from. So, okay. So I think overall Google did a good job of laying out what's important. A few of these I don't think are quite as important as others, but for the most part, these are all good hints, good tips, good strategies for succeeding, whether you are a first year student or maybe just getting ready to go back here in a couple weeks. Thanks for chatting with me through these suggestions. Thank you.